PlayStation 5 might be getting a timed exclusive of the next Grand Theft Auto.
Could this be a problem for the successor to the Xbox One?
Hot take.
Well, could it?
Yeah. Look. This is heavily rumored.
What do you mean?
What we're about to talk about
Yeah.
was brought up. There are some interesting bits here that lead a bit more credence.
Yes. Would
to
you
things.
Would you like me to dig into this so
Yes,
that
I
we can
would.
get into the credence?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a website called Segment Next, and they're revisiting old rumors that are talking about the credibility of what you had already announced about or said about the next Grand Theft Auto title. Basically, in December of 2018, Shane, let's go in the time machine back to 2018. Woo! A post emerged on a website called Pastebin, where you can post a bunch of like news, like articles, and it's all text stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, there was an anonymous third-party European developer, in air quotes, we can't confirm this.
Yep.
And they said that Grand Theft Auto 6 will launch on PlayStation 5 holiday of 2020. Now there's more. The setting is said to be either in Miami or New York. But Shane, there's more.
Okay.
This is the biggest rumor. The biggest rumor is that Sony struck a deal with Rockstar to keep GTA 6 exclusive for a month on that platform. Okay, so this is everything that we've talked about thus far. So you're thinking, it's rumors, it's
Yes.
all bubbling up. Well, what is the concrete, what is the foundation for all of this that kind of ties everything to the truth, gives it the green light? So, this is what gives the rumors weight. In the same leak that was posted onto Pastebin, there were hardware specs for the PS5, including backwards compatibility, ray tracing support, 4K and 8K support, and there were also things that were leaked within that post talking about a camera within the next PlayStation console's controller. All of these things, several months later, were either confirmed with the Mark Cerny interview where he was talking about the hardware, the PS5. And then we got the specs for the controller, or leaked patent filings for the controller that show that there's a camera in the controller. So all these leaks were together, many leaks confirmed or close to confirmed, and then the Grand Theft Auto 6 stuff is just wafting in the ether. Is it true? Is it not true?
So basically, we want to say this could possibly never happen, but because of all these other things that are actually coming down the pipeline, we can pretty much look at something like this and treat it with a little bit more realism than anyone ever could in the past. And there are additional things that we talked about here that are kind of lead a bit more information towards this. Now, look, it's Grand Theft Auto. You know it's a big deal. We all know it's a big deal. Whatever platform gets Grand Theft Auto usually does very well. The best time I think Grand Theft Auto ever really proved how important of a factor it was on the PlayStation 2. If you wanted to play Grand Theft Auto, you needed a PlayStation 2.
For a time. It came to the Xbox later.
Eventually, yes. But on that PlayStation 2, it did amazing.
Yeah.
When Grand Theft Auto came out on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, those systems had it at the same time. There's a little bit of a fight between who was going to do better sales, one way or the other. But there was a lot of people there who had played it on PlayStation that helped it on PlayStation 3. A lot of people really wanted the online features on the 360. It was moving into the current generation where they took the Grand Theft Auto, there's also Grand Theft Auto 4 as well. But Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One have shown a big difference. A lot of people played on PlayStation 4, a lot less people played on Xbox One. We don't have the exact numbers, we just know that not that many people bought the Xbox One. So you can just basically confirm in that the idea there that's how that works.
Speaking of not having confirmation, a little derail for a moment. Grand Theft Auto 6, I believe, still has not been announced.
No!
By Rockstar.
No, it has not.
Officially. So every time I see these rumors, and then just saying, oh, it's going to be in a Miami setting or wherever, we still... Technically, as far as Rockstar's concerned, the public doesn't know a GTA 6 is coming. Though it is, obviously, it will be arriving.
And Miami makes the most sense, too.
Rockstar put up listings for environmental artists And this is since Red Dead Redemption 2's come out.
Yeah.
So they want big open world environmental artists. It's very much, I think, pointing towards a Grand Theft Auto 6 game, but it could be something else.
Yeah, the reason I believe it would be Miami is
Yeah.
because San Andreas was based, or Grand Theft Auto 5 was in San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4 was in Liberty City. So of course, you know, kind of makes sense that they go to Miami because that's where the second game in the new 3D series.
Right,
takes
and
place.
it's such a popular game too.
Yes.
And it would be cool if they got certain voice actors back.
I agree.
Mr. Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
I didn't beat that game, so I don't know if he's in it anymore. That's why I'm bringing this up.
Oh no,
but,
I don't,
okay.
Spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
He is.
Anyway, Shane, all of these rumors and everything, what could this possibly mean for, like, if this is true, PlayStation has the 1 month exclusivity with the new Grand Theft Auto title. How is this such a horrible thing for Xbox? A month later, they get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
They're at parity a month later, and everyone's happy. They're playing on their Scarlets or their Xbox One 2s.
Only it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal.
Why is that?
It could have been a day exclusivity. It could have been an hour exclusivity. The fact is that people out, I guess an hour probably wouldn't matter too much. The fact is that people a month early are going to be able to play this game on one platform over the other if this ends up being true. Microsoft is entering into the next generation of consoles basically with their feet and hands tied. You gotta look at it this way. A lot of people did not pick up the Xbox One. More people are jumping in on the Switch than the Xbox One, which is scary because the Switch is a far newer system. The Xbox One should have been far better established where it is now, and I think everybody can look at the system at this point in time and consider it more or less kind of a failure. And look, if you're an Xbox fan, if you're a Microsoft fan, I get it. You're having fun. I'm having fun with my Xbox. I like it.
That's your preferred console.
Yes.
If there's a release on all platforms, you always go to your Xbox One X.
Yes. If the Xbox One X didn't exist, there would be issues. But the Xbox One X, in my opinion, for what it does, offers the best performance for the games. And if the games are pretty much the same and available on both platforms, I'm going to go for that. But when it comes to exclusivities, Sony has them beat. Entering into the next generation of consoles, we've already talked about this several times where Microsoft bought everyone they could, every game developer to start making games for their next platform. However, as we've discussed before, they already have a bunch of companies they just purchased who are still in the development process of other games.
Yes.
And that means that they're probably not working on their next games on the next system.
Yes.
And the games they are working on are likely going to be available on a bunch of platforms already. So
That's right.
Microsoft, for about a year or two, is actually going to be publishing games that will be available on multiple platforms.
Yeah, and I would imagine that if those developers were ready with titles after like a year and a half or 2 years or so, I wouldn't get too excited about them. Either they would be fairly simplified experiences, or maybe not enough time was put into them. Who knows, though? A great game it doesn't matter how long the development time takes. But it is strange. It is bizarre to have games release a year and a half or 2 years later really quickly.
And Microsoft has been doing some very key things that have been questionable for a lot of people lately. Now, I know a lot of people have been thinking, Microsoft, they've been playing really good. Cuphead's on the Switch now. You can get Ori and the Blind Forest on the Switch.
Yep.
And hey, who's on the new Smash roster? Banjo and Kazooie.
That's right.
Why would you do all these things? Well, folks, the reason you would do this is not because you're trying to be friendly and happy and cool and hip. You're trying to do it because you're trying to get people interested in specific IPs so that when the sequels of those IPs come out on your platform and you make them exclusive, you got a whole bunch of people on a bunch of other platforms that are like, boy, I like Banjo-Kazooie, and the next game's not available on this platform. Better get an Xbox too. That's what they're going for. So, when Sony apparently has an exclusivity of a month for a game that everyone wants to play, do you think they're going to be more inclined to pick up an Xbox?
Right, exactly. And this is like, even in the current console generation, if there was a release window of a month earlier on the PS4 over the Xbox One, it would be a big deal.
Yes.
But we're talking about the next iteration of consoles. When you're going to the store and you're looking at a wall of PlayStation 5s and you're looking at the next Xbox console, and immediately you see the little ad for a Rockstar's game, GTA, that you can play on your PlayStation 5, you'd more likely pick up that console if that's the type of game that you're going for. And a lot of people go for those Grand Theft Auto games. Those are console sellers.
Yeah.
And so this could, I guess what I'm getting at, this could set the pace out of the gate for the PlayStation 5. Like a lot of people could jump on board immediately.
Yeah. It's a month wait, right? And people are going to be willing to wait that month. The problem is, with the PlayStation 4, Sony already has an advantage of the player base existing on a PlayStation platform moving with their friends. The reality of the situation is, I remember a lot of people bought 360s at the time, and a lot of people bought them to play games with their friends. That was one of the things that worked against Sony on the PlayStation 3. There wasn't a great online infrastructure available, and that was for a multitude of reasons I won't get into today. But one thing Microsoft did do well was better online support. Still, though, right now, a lot of people are willing to sacrifice their online experiences by going to whatever platform most of their friends are playing on. So the PlayStation 4 is almost at parity when it comes to online features with Microsoft, although Microsoft has some additional things that are a little bit cooler than what Sony's doing.
When it comes to services, I would say definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Problem is, more people are playing on PlayStation 4, so they don't care. They're on there.
Right.
This whole concept really goes around the fact that for that month, if people are going to be getting in on a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, considering that we assume there's going to be an online mode that is going to be designed to match or rival what's on Grand Theft Auto 5, then you're probably going to see a lot of people going, okay, you know, a month of just getting online first on this platform means I'm going to be way ahead over a bunch of other people playing the game.
Absolutely.
It's probably going to be worth it for those gamers.
So I'm wondering with these rumors if there is a weight to this, and we see this become the thing, if come to fruition. Is this the way that we're going to be seeing games doled out now? Is it going to be less about? I'm thinking about a dystopian future where it's not necessarily console exclusive games, but it's more about the timed exclusives. And we've had timed exclusive stuff here or there with titles like some of the Street Fighter games on different platforms and Tomb Raiders and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it could be more aggressively timed exclusive within the next generation of consoles. Do you see it going that way? And maybe there'll be less focus on like platform exclusivity?
Yeah, there's a reason too.
There's more money there in the
is.
grand scheme for developers. Maybe not the first party developers, but other double AAA developers.
And we already know that timed exclusive content works. I mean, if you look at the Call of Duty games, there were map packs that were exclusive for timed periods on the 360 that drove a lot of people to getting that game on the 360 first, and it really worked out. I think what you're going to see in the next generation, I think a lot of other people have talked about this in the past, is the idea of not really console exclusivities, but content exclusivity. If you look at streaming services like Netflix, everyone is basically fighting to get content on their platform, and it's about content wars. Apple's entering into the mix. Netflix is trying to get a bunch of things. You're seeing all these other companies entering into digital services. When you get into this concept with the next generation of consoles, you know, the difference between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, not really that big. There are differences between the two. Games on PlayStation 4 tend to run a little bit better, but the hardware is basically the same. Going into the next console, we believe that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 2 are going to be sort of at parity, and Nintendo doesn't really care about playing the power game. They're more about the games. So really it all is about the games that are on the platforms, not really the hardware.
I would even say that the player base itself has kind of changed over the years as well. So a 1 month exclusivity might not have been such a big deal maybe 10 years ago or so, but we're living in a time where consuming media, you were mentioning Netflix and stuff, and this kind of popped into my head. Something that's a huge story one day, 24 hours later isn't a huge story, right?
Yes.
So are people still talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, which was a massive release?
Yes.
No, and it's only been months since the release of that title. Are people talking about Fire Emblem, which was released not too long ago? Yeah, some people still are, but things seem to be pushing out of view for the next thing super quickly. Now everyone's looking on the Switch at Pokemon or at Animal Crossing, waiting for the next thing to come. So a 1 month exclusivity, like in today's day and age, could completely break a release in my mind on another platform.
And it could harm Microsoft for years to come. Even though it only seems like a month, there are actual problems that go into this that are a little bit more pronounced. So just follow me here, because I'm going to throw a lot of information out really quick.
Okay.
When it comes to Grand Theft Auto 6, you're likely only going to be seeing that game available on consoles first, because traditionally when it comes to Rockstar, they really release games on consoles and then later on maybe PCs. We only just today got the announcement that we were going to be seeing Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. We called that on Hot Take. Give me a fist bump.
It's that Rockstar launcher, Shane.
Yeah.
We said it would change the world, and it's happening.
So that game is finally coming to PC. This is a long time coming. People have been expecting it for a while. Grand Theft Auto 6 is likely going to be in the exact same position where it's going to be available on consoles first. If you have a month exclusivity, it means the only place you can play that game is going to be on that platform. If that information is leaked early enough, like it is right now, and people start talking about it as a reason to be pre-ordering their next systems, the moment that Microsoft and Sony introduce their next consoles and people are getting out there to actually pre-order them and get them in advance, likely more people are going to sway to Sony's side at the beginning, giving Sony a huge advantage. This is not just a month exclusivity. This is, oh, this game might be close to a launch title. And if you're going to be getting a system right away, you're probably going to get the system where it's going to play best on, had the game available first, and while your other friends have it. Microsoft is going into this with, like I said, hands and feet tied. You've got very few players. I mean, they've got players, but not nearly as much as Sony. You've got a console that people are not very familiar with, and what we're to understand right now, they've got multiple variations of a console coming out that is going to confuse and muddy the waters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sony, apparently there might be some kind of pro version, but for all we know, it's just one version of their console. Simple, concise, it makes sense, and Sony doesn't have to fight to buy all these game companies out there because they basically own all their IPs. They already have all these games that are coming on their platform. They're unique to their platform. So when it comes to Microsoft, they have to push and shove. They haven't been spending this past generation building up new IPs and building up new properties to get people excited. They're going into the next generation going, hey, how about another Halo game? Last couple didn't sell too well, but how about a new one? That's not good enough. Sony is going to be coming out with games that people are excited about, new IPs that are dramatic, and even old games that are coming back that people have been looking forward to time and time again.
We can't forget that one of the big things that was a positive for what is now the Xbox One ecosystem was backwards compatibility and cherishing those older titles. We see that Sony was checking that out, and that was very much in the patent filings for what the next console will be, some sort of backwards compatibility.
Yes.
So I think they're trying to win in every sort of respect. And as well, Rockstar and Sony, you talked about, of course, Grand Theft Auto 3 first arriving on the PS2. That was when Grand Theft Auto, when it first arrived, it wasn't the biggest series, it wasn't as massive as it is now, but there's always sort of been good faith between Sony and Rockstar, and we saw that just as recent as Red Dead Redemption 2, where when the game first launched, it was a more full-fledged package on the PS4 than it was on the Xbox, though the fidelity of the image on the Xbox One X was a little bit better. There was a little more content on the PS4 at first. So Rockstar and Sony have been shaking hands for a long time.
Yes, that's true. Another thing to take into consideration, a lot of people out there are like, what about Nintendo? What does Nintendo do here? Nintendo doesn't have to worry. Nintendo isn't fighting for the hardware game when it comes to power. They've got portability on their side. Doesn't mean you're going to see Grand Theft Auto 6 come out on the platform. Sorry, folks, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you'll see other titles that people are excited about that will be on a Nintendo console, right? They don't need their, well, they could use something as big as a Grand Theft Auto, but they have many titles people are excited
Red Dead Redemption 2 barely ran on the original Xbox One consoles that were out there, and the Xbox One is still way more powerful than the Switch. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to see this game on the Switch. I would love to, but it's just not going to happen. Unless they've made a really...
Thoughts of The Witcher 3 start pouring through my head. I'm like, no, Shane. Anything's possible.
Anything, you know what?
Anything's possible.
It's true. It could happen.
We're in a world of dreams.
At least not at launch.
Yeah.
Right? At least not at launch. I want to see Grand Theft Auto games on the Switch badly. I would love to see that. I'd be so excited. Even the older
titles.
Sure.
Anyway, we're getting a little derailed.
But one thing to keep in mind, right? While we're looking at all this stuff, while it's really confusing and weird, there are a couple of key things here that Sony can do that I believe can set the difference. And I think Rockstar cares more about people playing their games online for years to come. We just saw that PlayStation Now introduced Grand Theft Auto 5 as a downloadable game on that package, so you pay a set fee a month, and then you actually download the game completely. So you can just, Rockstar makes money from you playing the game online one way or the other eventually, so they really are excited to give that game away in a package like that. That's a big deal. What we're seeing now is that if Sony comes out very soon announcing their next system, offers one SKU that makes it so like unbelievably easy to understand what they're selling, if they announce a couple of key games, I'm talking, let's just say The Last of Us 2 has a PlayStation 5 version that is better than the one that's coming out on PlayStation 4.
Ghost of Tsushima. We haven't really been hearing about that too much, if that's jumping onto the next console and if that's day one. A lot of people will pick up the console for that.
And I'm talking other things that people aren't thinking about yet. Sequels to long dormant franchises and ones that people are very excited about. What if we see Spider-Man 2? Right?
Yeah. That's one of those things that people might be like, oh, that turnaround would be too quick, but a lot of assets are already made, so who knows what could happen there.
They've already been showing off for the PlayStation 5 how fast the game loads. The original Spider-Man loads on PlayStation 5 hardware because...
Maybe it'll be a Last of Us remaster-like situation where they're like, oh, you thought Spider-Man on the PS4 was great?
Yeah.
Take a look at this.
Or they could be selling a copy of the game that works on both platforms. That backwards compatibility thing is a very big deal.
Yes,
and
it is.
If the games look better from platform to platform, a lot of people might be very excited to pick up the PlayStation 5. If your whole library on PlayStation 4 moves over with you to the new system, that's a big deal. And let's also take into consideration that we have absolutely no idea what the Guerrilla team is doing right now.
We have a sneaking suspicion there's another Horizon on the horizon.
That game was really good. And if
played
if Sony can drive people to play that, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are huge Zelda fans that might realize that Sony's got a little bit of their own Zelda thing going on.
Special little treasure there.
Yeah. So there's a lot at play. As far as this rumor goes, Adam, do you think this could actually happen? Like, do you think it's going to happen?
Like I said, there have been handshake agreements between Sony and Rockstar in the past. It would be a very brave and bold statement if Rockstar went a month exclusive on the platform. And you'd have to think that that'd be burning some bridges with Microsoft. Because, like we said, we're in a time socially, media's consumed so quick.
That's true.
Right? And a month could mean the death of a version of a game on another console. Especially, we know the next iteration of GTA has to have that online focus. And I'm assuming that online ecosystem may even just carry over into there. They'll somehow segue it and make a few changes and stuff. But no, your character's still there. You still have all your money and stuff. But it's different now, a little different. It's better.
The way I see it,
they need it to be online.
Yeah, if Sony's willing to pay down the amount of money required to make something like this happen, I don't even think a month exclusivity is on the table. I think it could be an exclusive for like a year if they really wanted to make it happen. Because at the end of the day, if Rockstar goes, okay, you're going to pay us this much money, we know the audience is going to be there, we know the fans are going to be there, and you're telling us that we only have to work on one platform for a year, and then have little breaking things happen there, fix it all, then have a perfect version that comes out a year later, yeah, I could see them doing that. I think it's a very reasonable thing to think that. And because of all these other rumors that were around the same time also being factual.
Yeah, but again, the key word here is rumor. And we have to wait for the coming months to see what happens. They're saying holiday 2020 for this, which is, I don't know, to me it feels like it's just around the corner.
It really is. Well, folks, what do you think? Do you believe this could actually happen, or do you think that this is just always going to remain a rumor?